The effects of the patriarchy on men and women, presented by Mars Porteous. Table of contents. What is patriarchy? Patriarchal bargains, men, women, children, and conclusion. Let's begin with some simple information to help us understand what this even means. Patriarchy, by definition, is a social organization marked by the supremacy of the father in the clan or family, the legal dependency of wives and children, and the reckoning of descent and inheritance in the male line. Society today is driven by patriarchy, and it affects everyone from a very young age. Another important term to know is a patriarchal bargain. Within the text, Gender Ideas and Institutions by Lisa Wade and Myra Marks Ferrer, we are given the definition: a deal in which an individual or group accepts or even legitimizes some of the costs of patriarchy in exchange for receiving some of its rewards. Men, women, and children, all members of society, make these for access to something that increases their status in different areas. Now let's take a look at the male side of this, as a patriarchy is something that has to do with men gaining power and influence. In today's society, most men make patriarchal bargains in order to rise in power in the workplace and increase life points. They don't always make bargains to gain power to assert over women or other men. I would like to take some time to talk about an article titled Patriarchy by Sherry B. Ortner. I found this article particularly helpful in understanding how patriarchy can look today. She uses the military as example. The military is a well-organized hierarchy with strict lines of difference between the ranks. She continues to say that this template is how many institutions are built and led to impactful negative thinking about women and creates a solidarity for men in power. Another piece I would like to add is the film by Jennifer S. Newsom titled The Mask You Live In. My initial reaction after watching this film was that the patriarchy can take a toll on men's mental health. The area of men's mental health in general is less talked about because of stereotypes with men, for example, the saying, "boys don't cry." Let's move on to women. Under a patriarchal society, women are still subject to restrictions and unfairness due to their gender. This is seen in companies, sports, different types of organizations, and areas that tend to have higher male presence. Even then, in job situations and other areas that are more female-led, men are still given different opportunities. Women have different ways of bargaining with the patriarchy than men do. I have taken some time to compile a list of these definitions and will read them to you now. Emphasize femininity. An exaggerated form of conventional femininity orientated to accommodating interests and desires of men. This is something that is very common. I have participated in this myself, where I tend to dress more gender neutral. In some instances, especially since coming to college, I will dress in a more feminine way to gain access to certain things. The second one is emphatic sameness, defined as downplaying the feminine in themselves in exchange for the right to do quite a bit of masculinity. This is something I practice often. I work in customer service and I wear a more masculine uniform in order to have customers respect me more. In the past, I've had a personal issue with people not listening to what I have to say and preferring my male coworkers to tell them the exact same thing that I told them. Thirdly, the definition for gender equivocient, using masculinity and femininity strategically when either is useful or culturally expected. This one, going 3 for 3, I have also used. There was a period of time where I was dressing very masculinely, and I could tell that when I dressed more femininely at church for service, that they would treat me differently than when I was dressing masculinely. Have you ever participated in a patriarchal bargain? Because of these bargains, women are often put into double binds. A double bind is a situation where expectations are contradictory or culturally unattainable. Gender Ideas and Institutions by Lisa Wade and Myra Marks Ferrer has a good list of examples of double binds. One example was of a female employee asking her male boss for feedback on a project, and she was given feedback that did not create a place for her to change and be more successful. Have you ever felt that you've been put into a double bind? Similarly to the men's film, Newsom has completed a project titled Misrepresentation. It includes interviews with famous women such as Nancy Pelosi and Katie Couric. It was a very moving project and really helped me deepen my knowledge on this topic. Children also make these bargains. Patriarchal bargains, when children are concerned, is more about doing masculinity and doing femininity. Young boys will play sports and thrive in the validation that they are good at these sports. When young girls play male-dominated sports, they are treated completely opposite of their male counterparts. During my research, I came across an article titled "What We Get Wrong About the Patriarchy" by Meredith Reaches. This article stuck out to me because of its blunt tone. Reaches states that even the assumption that one person can or cannot gestate can have a very impactful consequence. She backs this claim with evidence of psychology, of biological sex and gender. Finally, I would like to talk about the article titled "Varieties of Patriarchy and Violence Against Women," written by Gwen Honeycutt. This piece speaks a lot about victimization. One specific thing Honeycutt mentioned was that there was evidence that gendered lines is where victimization falls. The context of violence, as well as the difference for violence started by men versus the violence started by women, show stark differences. Violence against women, she says, has distinct gendered lines. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I really hope that you took something away from this piece.